Terence Crawford has continued chasing massive fights against elite names at 168 pounds, but Jermell Charlo has already made it clear why he is not eager to face him. Crawford has spent a long time calling out both Charlo and Canelo Alvarez, leading many figures in boxing to debate how he would handle opponents carrying far more size and power. Oscar de la Hoya believes Crawford has the talent to defeat Canelo despite the jump in weight. De la Hoya explained that elite skill often beats smaller levels of talent, and in his view, Crawford is not undersized anyway. He pointed out that Crawford could comfortably carry himself at 168 pounds and described his boxing ability as so advanced that he could make Canelo struggle badly inside the ring. Not everyone agrees with that opinion. Amir Khan, who has already shared the ring with Canelo, warned Crawford against taking that risk. Khan said he respects Crawford's abilities, but he sees Canelo as an entirely different type of fighter at super middleweight and feels the matchup would be dangerous for him. Shane Mosley also weighed in on potential fights involving Crawford, Charlo, and Canelo. Mosley acknowledged that Charlo's size, reach, and timing could create serious problems. Still, he slightly favored Crawford because of his versatility, switch hitting, and ability to attack from unusual angles. At the same time, Mosley admitted Charlo would have a legitimate chance to win as well. When discussing Canelo, however, he felt Crawford may be taking on too much because of the physical difference between them. Mikey Garcia sees Crawford having success against Charlo at 154 pounds. Garcia praised Crawford's complete style, saying he can fight aggressively, move backward effectively, switch stances, and adapt during exchanges. But Garcia also noted that moving further up in weight would make the size disadvantage far more difficult to overcome. Promoter Eddie Hearn does not believe Crawford should move all the way up to 168 for a showdown with Canelo. Hearn explained that Canelo is simply too large and too established in that division. He added that he cannot picture Canelo dropping below 168, and if the fight ever happens, he would still pick Alvarez to win. Gary Russell Jr. thinks Crawford is making a smart business decision by targeting major stars like Charlo and Canelo. Russell said those fights would bring enormous money, but he feels Crawford has a much stronger chance against Charlo than against Canelo. He also mentioned that while he respects the Charlo brothers, he still believes they have not completely reached their highest level as fighters. Meanwhile, Regis Prograis strongly backed Charlo in a possible clash with Crawford. Prograis explained that skill and speed can be measured, but hunger and determination cannot. He described Charlo as an angry and highly motivated fighter who carries a chip on his shoulder. According to Prograis, Charlo's natural size and punching power would become major factors, especially after seeing what Crawford did to Errol Spence Jr., which could add even more motivation for Charlo going into the fight. Despite the concerns surrounding the size difference, Shakur Stevenson still believes Crawford has the talent to compete with Canelo if the fight ever becomes reality.
I would not be shocked if Charlo beats him.
Really?
I would not be shocked. But it depends if Canelo could like walk him down without getting hurt or buzzed.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting to see.
Teddy Atlas believes Terence Crawford could still be dangerous even after climbing through several weight divisions. Atlas admitted that every fighter eventually reaches a limit when moving up in size, especially considering Crawford has already jumped multiple classes during his career. However, he explained that Crawford's lean build and physical frame may allow him to add more muscle better than most fighters. Atlas also said he does not currently see anyone in the higher divisions who is clearly more talented than Crawford or guaranteed to defeat him. Meanwhile, Demetrius Andrade respects Crawford's ability, but strongly doubts he would thrive at 168 pounds. Andrade warned that the super middleweight division is filled with experienced and naturally larger fighters who would be able to use their physicality against him. While he acknowledged Crawford's elite skills, he believes fighters at that size would eventually overpower him. Andrade did say a fight with Canelo Alvarez makes sense financially and stylistically because Canelo is not viewed as the biggest man in those upper divisions. He pointed out that Canelo originally competed at lower weights and is not built like naturally huge fighters such as Gennady Golovkin or David Benavidez. Still, Andrade emphasized how massive many fighters at 168 really are, explaining that some of them cut down from close to 200 pounds before regaining weight after the weigh-in. In his opinion, that creates a huge physical gap compared to someone coming up from 147 pounds. He believes Crawford would need much more time to develop the strength and size required to compete with established names like Benavidez, Caleb Plant, Canelo, or Jermell Charlo. Even with all the concerns about weight and power differences, Crawford does not appear interested in backing down, especially when it comes to a potential fight with Charlo, a matchup he clearly seems motivated to pursue.
Jermell, would you say I'm done after that?
Of course, 100%.
What's the thing about Jermell? Oh, I feel like you don't like Jermell. And if you,
I don't.
You got respect for Earl. So if you did Earl like that, god damn.
I don't like Jermell for the simple fact that I feel he's a fake individual. I feel Earl is real. I feel he's genuine. I feel like he stand on 10 toes on everything that he say or do. I feel like Jermell is just one of those guys that do a lot for attention. I was cool with Jermell and Jamal and their older brother prior to me moving up in weight. You know, I got messages with he hit me up asking me he gonna pull up in Omaha, and we talking about cars, we talking about all different type of stuff. Once, you know, I moved up in the division, and I understand that they stablemate. He trained with Arrow Coach, and they've been knowing each other for a long time. For him to start bashing me and talking bad about me and saying I'm gonna get knocked out, and, you know, going out his way to say little slick shit about me, I was just like, man, that's some hope.
There was a moment when Jermell stated that if Terence wanted a shot at Canelo, he would first have to go through him.
Everybody seen you and Bud's interaction during the fight and all that. Like, that was ill just for us as fans. Like, oh, these niggas. How did you feel when he, you know, when he was calling thieves like, how did you feel when all of that during that moment?
Man, don't bite off too much you can chew, you know? Don't write a check your can't cash.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah.
I'm one of those ones.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta face me. I gotta see what you want.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I seen your post. You was like, you know, after we do this, we could do whatever we do. Does the fight with Errol add to the motivation for that at all, or is it the same thing? Like,
Yeah,
whatever?
it's a fire. It's a pilot.
Yeah.
It's a pilot on the stove. When you light that stove a bunch of times, it just bursts out. So sometimes I just hold back and I just allow, you know, to idle in a position. And when I get done with this one, you know, I'm gonna move on to that situation.
Yeah.
I'll take care of everybody that I gotta take care of.
Nah, for sure. I mean,
Terence Crawford previously responded to comments about a future showdown by explaining that the situation only adds more fuel to his mindset. Crawford compared it to a flame slowly building on a stove, saying he sometimes keeps those emotions under control until the right moment arrives. He made it clear that once he finishes handling his current business, he plans on dealing with every opponent he feels he still needs to face. Not long after that, Jermell Charlo revealed that he no longer sees himself returning all the way down to 154 pounds for a fight with Crawford. Instead, Charlo suggested that if the matchup ever happened, it would likely need to take place at 160. He also downplayed the idea of Crawford being the major attraction in the situation, insisting that he views himself as the true superstar, especially if he succeeds against Canelo Alvarez and captures the undisputed championship at 168 pounds. Charlo later explained that he is not focused on Crawford right now because his attention remains on the bigger challenge ahead. He suggested that Crawford's recent comments may partly be tied to promotion and momentum following the success of the Errol Spence fight. According to Charlo, Crawford only recently found himself in the right position professionally after joining the proper promotional setup, which finally allowed him to secure those massive fights. Charlo also believes Crawford may now be aiming too high too quickly after tasting that level of success. With Canelo still on his mind at 168 pounds, Charlo questioned why he should even be concerned about Crawford at this stage. He made it clear that conversations about a possible clash can wait until after his current plans are finished at 81 point. Charlo even mentioned another matchup he would rather see happen instead. He said he would prefer watching Jaron Ennis step into the ring with Crawford, suggesting that fight would be far more interesting, while also telling Crawford to stop chasing the bigger fighters above his division.